You know what the old saying is, if you hear thunder in the wintertime, give it 10 days and you'll have snow. Hi, everybody. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Justice, mapping out the potential for a snow that could move in next week. The models have been really aggressive at showing something trying to form next Wednesday or Thursday. There's a low pressure. We know it's going to happen on all the computer models. It's just a matter of what track does it take, and that's what we're going to iron out here today. Hi, everybody. If you're new to the channel, please consider following this page if you don't already. Let me know in the comments section where you're watching from, what city you're in, what state you're in. And here in Greenville, where many people are wanting to see some snow. I mean, it has been at least 3 years since we've had a decent snow across the area, and to get another one would be welcome to many people. So let me know where you're watching from. I'll try to tailor this forecast to you as we move forward. Simply put, we got some time to track it. There's going to be a lot of ups and downs in this in the coming days, and you know, the most likely scenario is going to be that we end up with a cold rain or some kind of nasty mix in some areas. But I want to map it out for you here because we do see some signals on the computer models that there's going to be some changes. Here's the forecast over the next 10 days, and as you can see, as we go throughout today and to tomorrow, we're back almost a 20-degree drop from the 60s to the 40s to the 40s, back to the 60s again on Sunday with possible storms and severe weather risks, which I'm going to map out. And then it turns colder next week. Lows in the 20s, highs in the 40s. But the European model here wants to show highs in the 30s Thursday and Friday, which indicate that snow chance moving forward. So how about the thunder chances? Well, a pretty bullish outlook here from the Storm Prediction Center for our day 3, which would be Saturday. There is a high risk of severe weather back here through Louisiana in this orange color, and Arkansas, back through Mississippi into Alabama, and unfortunately the tornado risk looks to be co-located with that as well. Does that make its way into the western Carolinas or Georgia, Atlanta? Mainly Atlanta westbound, but this is a model that gets you out to about 8 a.m. Now, as the sun goes down, areas east are going to see less of a threat. It's just a matter of if these lines can hold together. I've got another product I can show you here. This is from the Colorado State folks, experimental, but it has been so on point this year, as I've told you. This is the risk that they put out, and honestly, I really like the way it highlights things. It kind of takes into account a lot of different things, and this is the probability of tornadoes. Unfortunately, it's very high. Very high back here toward Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, and that hatched black area there means that there could be some stronger tornadoes in that area. That threat goes down to a medium risk as you go into Alabama, and then a low medium risk in Tennessee. Doesn't really translate to the Carolinas here on day 3, which would be Saturday. It goes all the way through about 8 a.m. But we do have the potential for wind that we need to look out for. And going into Sunday, does that threat translate east? Not necessarily. The wind energy goes up to the north, and the warm, unstable air goes to the south. I've got a brand new computer model that times that out for us. Let's look at the new NAM model. Let me reframe my screen up right here, and I'll show it to you. How's that look? All right, we good to go? We're good to go. All right. So moving forward here, Friday's going to be fine. There's nothing going on across the south, southeast. There's going to be lots of sunshine. Valentine's Day date's looking picture perfect, all right? It's going to be cool, highs in the upper 40s, which means when the sun goes down, we'll be bound into the 20s short order. So you want to bring coats, know that it's going to be cold, any kind of plans you may plan. All right, we need to look out for ice going into Saturday morning in western North Carolina. There could be some freezing rain that develops here, especially on the escarpment on the eastern-facing slopes. Same areas that had ice this week are probably going to get it, if not a little bit more, on Saturday. How do we go from ice to storm threats? Well, look what happens during the day on Saturday. We've got all this rain. It's a cold rain bubbling up. Eastern-facing slopes of the mountains can have a little bit of light ice, and that's going to continue with that cold rain through a good bit of Saturday. By the afternoon and evening, not saying we're going to dry out, but it's at least not going to be as steady or as heavy of the rain. Then as we go into Saturday night, this front back to the west is taking shape. Look at the deep low wrapping in the snow on the backside. You're going to get southerly winds out of this, which is really going to cook temperatures. In fact, we'll go from the low 40s, maybe even 30s, to the 60s overnight. It's going to get warmer as the night goes on. How weird is that? By the time we wake up on Sunday morning, this line is mean. A lean, mean fighting machine. Look at it. It's positively tilted, which means it's got some energy with it, and it's likely to be a wind maker. I don't see many discrete supercells out ahead of this on the NAM model. Not to say we won't get it, but I'm just not seeing it on this high-resolution NAM model. But by the time we're waking up on Sunday morning, there's some heavy rain. The storms look mainly Atlanta southbound, but it is certainly something we'll watch. Let's look at a couple different things. One, the storm fuel. Do we have it and where is it? And then let's look at the tornado spinning, the spinning in the atmosphere. Well, going into Friday, there's nothing. There's no storms. We're perfectly fine. Going into Saturday, remember, we're in the 30s and 40s, and it's raining here across the Carolinas and Georgia. But going into Saturday afternoon, look at this storm field that surges north into Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi. That's plenty of fuel for storms that are severe. But the cold air kind of looks to squash it. I mean, the NAM model's not very bullish, which it normally can be for severe weather. It's pretty muted when it comes to the severe weather. Keeps it in South Alabama, maybe South Georgia going into Sunday morning. And the same can be said for the supercell index, which would be combining the spin in the atmosphere and that instability. And right now, that looks to overlap toward Louisiana, Arkansas. There could be a high risk of tornadoes back that way. That's why on our model there, you saw Louisiana, Arkansas, and Mississippi tuned in with a medium to high risk for tornadoes. Unfortunately, it could be a severe weather outbreak back that way. Does it move to the east? Well, this model keeps it in South Georgia, South Alabama, and really does not move it too far to the north. So something to watch for sure going into the weekend for the Western Carolinas, but right now, it doesn't look to be bubbling up too far to the north. As far as rainfall totals are concerned, as we go into Saturday, it's looking like a drizzly, light rain, just kind of the annoying rain, right? Enough to keep you cold, keep things wet. But as we go into Sunday morning, that's when you'll get a quick inch of rain. So all said, about an inch to an inch and a half, with combining Saturday's light rain with Sunday's more convective type rain. Let's look beyond that. Why you probably tuned in. Are we going to get snow in the south or the southeast? Well, moving into our Wednesday time frame, here comes a low pressure system. All three of our reliable computer models, which I'm going to show you here, starting with the European, show a low. We know a low is going to form. We just got to know where it's going to track, right? A week out, 6 days out, I don't know that information. I know that we're going to see something track to the east, and this European model shows it's a snow, ice, rain, sleet, probably wintry mix here across the upstate of South Carolina and a good bit of North Carolina. That early highlight of heavy snow potential was well placed by the Climate Prediction Center. Does it come to fruition? Nobody knows, but is it possible? Certainly. Got a big high trying to lock in the cold air. Does it? Maybe. But the track of that low is going to be key. And going into Thursday morning will be the time frame. So Wednesday afternoon through Thursday morning will be our go time. And then we're drying out after that. And the rest of February looks to be quite dry, maybe on the cold side, but not much cooking, rain or wintry wise, the last half of February. It looks like we're going to kind of a drier, more mundane pattern. How about that GFS model? A low. Again, all three models show a low and a wave, so to speak. Does a surface low form? It does show it here across the coast. Is it too far out to actually send back moisture into that? Possibly, but you also got a wave in the upper parts of the atmosphere. That 540 height line right over the I-85 corridor, which is interesting on this GFS model. Does it hold? Does it have support from its ensemble members? Well, let's look at it. So further investigation would show this is quite a bit of snow here. But if you look closer at the totals the GFS actually paints, it's a mix of rain and snow. So totals aren't off the charts. I mean, they're an inch and a half, maybe 3 inches on the high end. Where there's some heavy snow risk, again, why the Climate Prediction Center put it out there. Some of the models here hinting at a foot of snow up through Raleigh, Durham, up through northeastern North Carolina into Virginia, Norfolk, up very close to our nation's capital. That would be very interesting. We'd have to look and see about that. How about the GFS ensembles? If you average out all the ensembles, they've got about an inch of snow across the ground, and where that forms will be yet to be determined. But if we look closer at the ensembles here for the GFS, there's some support. I mean, the control, the latest operational model is 2.5 inches, while the average is about 2 inches. I mean, out of 30 different runs there's quite a few of them here that show some snow across the upstate of South Carolina and surrounding areas. How about the European model? Our GFS model doesn't go quite that far, but if you look at our European model, out of 50 different runs, there's roughly 40 of them showing some measurable snow across the upstate. So is there a chance? Yes. The Canadian model has shown it. It has also taken it away. The one this morning came in with a wave that's a little more suppressed, which is a very likely scenario. Drier in the Western Carolinas, but where I have more confidence there might be something bubbling is Raleigh down to Fayetteville, North Carolina, maybe into Wilmington. This area on all the models shows some kind of wintry precipitation. The Canadian model wants to paint a little something going on into Wednesday night, Thursday when that wave kind of moves on out, get a little overrunning. It wants to show a little bit of snow as well. If you were to average that out, what does it look like? Well, let's look at the Canadian model's totals. Again, they're not off the charts, 1-2 inches maybe, but the ground could be covered in many areas, and that would be something we would need to look out for. Let's look at that Canadian model. Does it have the juice to do anything? Well, out of 20 different ensemble members of the Canadian, probably half of them show some sort of measurable snow. What I like to lean my forecast on a little bit more heavily is the probability of 1 inch or more. And I look at the different computer models for that. The European here is showing there's a 100% chance of that across Sugar Mountain, Beech Mountain, high elevations in North Carolina ski country. That's a given. How about the I-40 corridor, including Asheville, Hickory, McDowell County, northbound? More like a 60% chance. 50-60% chance of some snow. Then you get into the upstate of South Carolina. The bluish green here, right along the I-85 corridor, would be a 30 to 40% chance. So the Europeans, by far the most bullish when it comes to snow chances. The GFS, new model came in a little hot. If you look at the one before it, it was more reserved to the mountains. Definitely trended farther south on the latest GFS model. Okay, so is it a trend? Don't know yet, but we know we'll be dialed in on it. Here's the Canadian model, the one from a run ago, pretty similar to it. So simply put, we've got a pattern to watch next week, but we especially need to stay dialed in on what could happen this weekend. We could get severe weather across the south, and it's something we need to really watch because if we get that severe weather, it could be pretty bad in some areas in southwestern parts of Alabama, into Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana, with strong tornadoes. Does that threat move east to the Carolinas? Does not look to be. There's not enough ingredients there. We're cooler, more stable, but certainly could hear some rumbles of thunder. Certainly could get some feisty rain cells to move through about the time you're trying to get out the door for church on Sunday morning. That rolls out, colder air moves in Sunday, and that's when things begin to get a little bit different for us. So again, folks, if you're new to the channel, please like this video. If you haven't already, let me know in the comment section where you're watching from. Also, throw in a question or two. I'd love it if you'd subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. It's the best way to stay up to date on all things severe weather on this channel that you're following from, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We are thankful you are here. Hope you have a good rest of your day, folks, and we will talk soon.